Okay, sun came up behind me since we have seen each other last, so I'm working to try to stay in the light here. Okay, so now you have learned a bit about the work of the Local Initiative Support Corporation, both here in Chicago and in the rest of the United States, although Chicago LISC is the real innovator. And you've learned a little bit about the New Communities program, which is the LISC version of the Comprehensive Community Initiative, as we saw being developed by the folks in Dudley Street, on the Dudley Street projects. And you've hopefully looked at a few of the community plans for the 16 communities that are part of the New Communities program. Now, comprehensive community initiatives are one really important feature of ways to address housing issues. Though housing is just a small part of what the Comprehensive Community Initiative undertakes. Besides those folks and those kinds of projects, there's some other strategies that are used that I just want to talk about for a few seconds here, because they're being used around the country and in their language, also part of the secret language. One is something called inclusionary zoning. The place that is most known for inclusionary zoning is the state of Massachusetts, although it is also now in place in Illinois on a kind of a level. And basically what inclusionary zoning says is that the state changes the zoning laws to require a certain amount of affordable new units in all new construction. When new housing is built, X amount of it has to be affordable according to the 30% of the area median income standard. And the state of Massachusetts has that everywhere, at all points. Every community has to do that. Now, zoning, remember, is one of the more jealously guarded rights of any municipality, to be able to decide how land gets used, and how it doesn't get used is something that's jealously guarded, and therefore inclusionary zoning is not very popular. One of the ways that you could keep poor people from congregating in your community is to zone, say, only single-family housing, or only housing on quarter-acre lots. And that would automatically exclude people who couldn't afford single-family homes or large single-family homes. So to say that, to mandate that all housing development has to have X amount of affordable units in it is it's government interfering, although it's a way to get right to the point, because municipalities won't do it themselves often, especially ones that are rather upper class and suburban. Illinois' law, inclusionary zoning law, has a feature in it that's a little less structured. It says that if a community has fewer than a certain amount of units that are affordable, they have to file a plan with the state as to how they're going to get to that certain amount. And if they don't get to that certain amount, and a developer tries to build affordable housing and it contradicts their zoning, then the state can override that zoning. Meaning, we'd really like this to do it yourselves, and we're not going to make you do it, but if you don't have a plan to how you're going to get there, then we might step in when a developer wants to build something and override you. That is the law in Illinois now, and it has caused some distress in wealthier suburbs, but they now must do it, and so affordable housing strategies and plans have been instituted in very, very wealthy places like Kenilworth and Highland Park, Barrington. The city of Chicago has something called voluntary inclusionary zoning, which means, the city will twist the arm of the developer to put in, it's usually 15% of affordable units in a new development, and if the developer doesn't do it, why they might find themselves with some problems getting the permits they need to do their development, and so it's more bullying than anything else. Another strategy that gets used are property tax incentives. Property tax incentives are and it takes place in Cook County. Developers get a reduction in their property taxes if they keep rents affordable. Okay, so in Cook County, for example, you get 40% reduction in your property taxes if you develop apartments that are affordable for those who make 80% of the area median income. Okay, so that's just a little bit below the median and lower. But you get to then, 40% off your property taxes. Another strategy, I'm reading this as I go along, in case you hadn't figured that out. And now I lost it. Is a housing trust fund. Housing trust fund, basically, City of Chicago has a housing trust fund, and right now folks want it to be expanded. Every developer, whether he's going to develop a downtown high-rise or a small neighborhood bunch of houses, has to put a particular percentage of the value of that development into a trust fund that the city administers, and then the city dispenses that money to affordable housing development. It was set at 15% of the value of the development, and there's been a fight going on for a long time to expand it to be 25% of the value of the development. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund in Chicago is a source of money for small developers of affordable housing, people who want to buy an apartment building and rehab it for affordable housing. The Department of Housing in Chicago, well, actually now it's called the Department of Community Development, has access to these funds and dispenses them. Often to people they like, but that's another story altogether. And then the last one of these, which I'm not going to go deeply into, is something called a TIF. Many, many states have TIFs. That means tax increment financing. And what a TIF means is that if an area is determined to be a TIF district, then the property taxes are frozen at the level that they are at the time of determination, and any new value that's added to the property gets put in this special fund and supposedly recycled back into that community. TIFs can be used for commercial development, as is the Loyola TIF, or it can be used for housing development, and TIFs have been used for housing development. The last one of these strategies is the strategy of the land trust, and I'm going to end with a little video from my favorite land trust in the world. It is not an urban land trust, but it is one of the land trusts that exemplify what most land trusts are. That's why the Dudley Street one was so different. It's part of it takes place on the island of Lopez Island in the San Juans in Puget Sound, where there's lots of rich people that live out there, but also that they need cops and teachers and firemen and mechanics and not rich people, and those people can't usually afford to live there unless affordable housing can be built for them. And so this is the Lopez Community Land Trust, and I have dear friends out there who are building straw bale houses and zero energy communities on this island in the middle of the Puget Sound. So it's a happy community development story. So take a gander at it and its website, and then go to the forum and tell me what you think. See ya.